Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Miriam and I love everything about books, and in 2021 I'm challenging myself to read 365 books. And weekly I do a wrap-up video, which is conveniently called Weekly Wrap-Up. And in today's video I'll be talking you through the books I read from Friday the 15th of January until Thursday the 21st of January. If you saw the previous weekly wrap-up video, you saw that I only read 3 books in that week, so I'm quite behind on my challenge, but luckily I finished 7 books the past week, so I'm sort of getting back on track. Well, I've read a lot of ebooks, so I can't show you the physical copies of them, but I will show them to you on my phone. Oh, I actually made a mistake. I finished 8 books, so that's great. The first book I finished was Two Testaments, the second installment in a trilogy by Elizabeth Musser on the Algerian Independence War. And I also finished the third book, Two Destinies, so I don't have to show that one to you. These books were really great. I think the faith was really well expressed, and it also showed some history, although I had a hard time to get into the books, but once I was into the story and invested in it, it became better and I really enjoyed it. Second book I finished, or third, I'm not entirely sure, I think the third book, because I listened to this as an audio book, so while I went on walks I listened to it. It's called The Stadstuin. It's a Dutch original book on 3 sisters who inherit a garden in a city in Amsterdam, and they have to make profit of it again because they are not allowed to sell it. And it's labeled as feel good, but I'm not very enthusiastic about this. It's actually the first book in a trilogy. In each book one of the sisters is the main character, but not really, and I'm not very enthusiastic about this series, but I want to finish it because I want to know how it ends with the garden. I mean, of all the characters in the book, I'm most interested to see how it ends with the garden. So I want to finish it, but I'm not enjoying it so much, so I put it on a high speed. I've read better books and I've listened to better books, so yeah. The fourth book I finished was Indestructible by Nir Eyal. I started this book on the 1st of January actually, but I'm always reading one non-fiction book and I read a chapter a day, sometimes more, sometimes less. It depends on the length of the chapters. And so I finished this one on Monday or Tuesday, I'm not entirely sure. But I learned a great deal from this and I'm really enthusiastic about it, especially the first bit of the book. So if you can get your hands to this one, I'd highly recommend it. And then on Sunday evening I started this wonderful book by Gayle, All the Lonely People. I'm not going to tell you much about it because I'm doing a short review video on Thursday, so you can hear me tell more about this book, but this was definitely my favourite read of the week. The paperback version is coming out soon, so yeah. If you can grab it, it's wonderful. Its writing style is so great, and yeah, well, I can say I highly recommend it, but I'm doing that with a lot of books, so, but still, I highly recommend it. The last 3 books I finished this week were part of a series. Well, it's actually a Dutch classic on the Second World War, and it's called Reis door de nacht, or it was translated into English, I believe, as Journey Through the Night. Consists of 4 books, and the books were separately on Goodreads, so I thought this is my chance to catch up a bit. So I counted them as 4 books. I finished the 4th book on Friday, so it's technically not part of the weekly wrap-up video, because then I could have said I finished 9 books in this week, but I won't mention it again in next week's weekly wrap-up video because I think I'll have plenty of other books to talk about then. But it was nice to read this. The events in the books are based on what the author of the books, Anne de Vries, actually did during the Second World War, so it is based on true events, but still, reading this book you get the idea that almost every Dutch person in the Second World War was in resistance, and that's just not true. We know that by now, but still it was a good read, and to be honest, when I read the last book, which is technically not part of this weekly wrap-up, but still, when I read the last 2 chapters of that book, I was a bit emotional. I mean, it's about the liberation of the Netherlands and how relieved everyone was, and I can't imagine what that must be like. I mean, living 5 years and being hungry. I mean, the last winter in the Netherlands of the war was terrible, absolutely terrible, and I'm glad I didn't live in that time. And actually, it was great to read these books because nowadays some people in the Netherlands are comparing the COVID situation to the Second World War, and I think that's inappropriate, really. Well, and reading these books really confirmed that for me, that it's not good to compare it to the Second World War, because that was a totally different situation. These were the books I read the past week. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to follow me on my journey where I read 365 books in a year, at least I'm trying to, then consider subscribing to my channel. I hope you have a great day and happy reading.